Hi everybody, happy Friday. It is 8 o'clock and tonight is the night that I'm going to lead a fire cider making tutorial here with me, with Ash. So I'm going to wait just for a couple of minutes to see if some folks join, and this is my first time trying out like a setup, so stick with me. Special thanks to my dear friend Lorelei for lending me some tech equipment for me to be able to put on this tutorial, because honestly, I was going to probably just prop my phone up against like a stack of books because, you know, I'm a librarian, and hope that things worked out well. So, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and just a little bit about me, like my history with herbalism. Just a little over 2 years ago, I started learning about herbalism in a distance program through the Commonwealth Holistic Herbalism School that is located up in Massachusetts. And so they do distance programs for family herbalists, community herbalists, and they also do clinical herbalism as well. And so I'm getting ready to finish the family herbalist program, and then I've kind of also started at the same time concurrently the community herbalist program. But one of my favorite recipes to make is fire cider. And I made it last year for the first time because the first year after my daughter was born, I caught, and I'm not exaggerating, I caught every single virus that she brought home. And I thought I was a pretty healthy person. I consider myself a pretty healthy person, but I caught every virus she had. My husband caught like one, maybe two things. I think he got RSV. Who can escape that, right? So after that, the next like flu and sick season came around, and I had already been learning about herbalism at that point. And so I stocked up on probiotics, vitamin D, and I made a fire cider for the first time. I took a shot, literal shot glass of fire cider every day from the fall through the beginning of spring, and I caught maybe one or two viruses, and the ones that I did get were not that bad, okay? So it probably was a combination of all of those things, but I'm gonna talk about the medicinal and beneficial uses of a fire cider. And if you're just now joining me, go ahead and just like say hi. And I can't really see who's here for whatever reason. It must be because it's on my phone. So go ahead and like make a comment and be like hi. And let me know if you have ever made fire cider before, or if there is a specific herbal medicine that you enjoy making. I can assure you this won't be the only tutorial that I lead. I will be putting on an Oxymel tutorial later on too. So it is, Oxymels are great for respiratory issues. So we'll go over how to make those as well. Okay, so let's get started. All right, so why would we even care to make a fire cider? What does it do? So it's an immune booster, and due to the acidity of the fire cider, it is thought that it increases the acidity in your body such that bad bacteria and viruses cannot replicate, right? So through taking a little bit every day, it's not like you're chugging the whole bottle, right? Just through taking a little bit every day, you increase the pH level of your body such that it will decrease the amount of viruses that you catch and or that your body allows to replicate and you get sick, okay? So the base ingredient, the major ingredient of a fire cider, and what really gives it a lot of the fire, is the apple cider vinegar. So when you are choosing an apple cider vinegar, I tend to go with this brand. They're pretty reliable, the Bragg. They make a lot of great things. But the reason that I go with this one is because it includes the mother, okay? Some of you, if you've ever drank kombucha or if you've ever made kombucha, you may be familiar with that terminology. It may also be called a SCOBY or a SCOBY buddy, whatever you want to call it. But the mother is what gives, you can kind of see like this haziness here, like if I swirl the bottle a little bit, let you look at the bottom. The mother is a type of yeast that has grown inside of the apple cider vinegar, and it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So the mother lends probiotics to the apple cider vinegar. So if you use an apple cider vinegar with the mother in it, then you are also putting probiotics in your fire cider ingredient. And you know what, looking at this, I realize I've also left one ingredient out, but I'll get there, you know, when I get to that point. So this is what you really want to go for. This is giant. This is a 32 fluid ounce one. I bought 3 of these because they were on sale. If you ever see them on sale, I would recommend just snatching them up because somebody else will. Okay, so that's the base. The next ingredient that I'm gonna go over is a white onion. I've already sliced half of mine. This one was probably like, I don't know, like the size of a baseball, I guess. And this, I'm only gonna use half of the onion for one of my 24 fluid ounce jars. So I use half an onion in this entire thing, plus the other things. So at a time, I make 2 jars at a time, okay? So white onion is the next ingredient, and so onions are rich in antioxidants, and they also support immune health. The next ingredient that we're gonna put in there is a whole garlic bulb. So although I'm gonna use half of a garlic bulb for one of these. If you have like your 32 fluid ounce jars, use the whole garlic bulb. I've already peeled half of my garlic bulb for this, but garlics are known to be antimicrobial, and they also are immune boosters too. And what's really cool about garlic, if you put this in your fire cider, is that it will turn blue. And this is totally natural. It doesn't mean that you've got like janky garlic or that it's gonna make you sick or anything like that. It is the interaction with the acidity of the apple cider vinegar with the garlic. And I can't, my brain's not letting me remember exactly what it is that, I think it's a mineral or the interaction that's happening, but it's really cool. Garlic, next. All right, the next one is lemon. It is lemon. And when you are choosing particularly fruits, okay, when you are choosing lemons for your fire cider, I recommend going with organic, right? And it's not because it's, you know, like hoity-toity or anything like that. It's because organic fruits and veggies do not use pesticides. And when you're adding lemon to your fire cider, you're adding it with the rind. And the apple cider vinegar is going to extract constituents out of whatever you put into it. And that would also mean that it would extract the pesticide, and all of your yummy fire cider immune boosting goodness would also be steeped in pesticides. And I don't know about you, right? But I don't really feel like drinking pesticides. So go organic when you can. And then when you get it home, give it a quick wash, okay? Just make sure you're not putting somebody else's germies in your fire cider. All right, so that's lemon. And you could also use orange. I tend to go with lemon because the acidity is greater than that of an orange. But both an orange and a lemon will give you vitamin C, and it's also just like refreshing. So, and lemons, due to their acidity, are also used in a lot of cleaning products, but also for the scent too. Although, if you've ever had fire cider before, I'm sure you've never thought to yourself, lemony goodness, okay? But lemon, great for vitamin C and the acidity component. Because remember what I said about acidity, like increased acidity in the body means that your it's going to be too great for viruses and microbes to replicate. Okay, third one is the horseradish, and that is what I actually forgot. So don't look at my dirty kitchen. Hold on 1 second. I'm back. Okay, horseradish. I could not find horseradish root in my grocery store. I've never been able to find it there. So what I have found, and I've used in the past, and it works perfectly fine, is just like already minced horseradish. This doesn't have anything else in it except for horseradish root and citric acid, which is a preservative. Fine by me. What I wouldn't want in here is oil, okay? And it's a similar reason as to why you would not want to use store-bought minced garlic, okay, in your fire cider or in any of your herbal medicines, is because you risk the chance of introducing botulism, into your herbal medicines when you do that, okay? And that's because the oil, you know how oil repels water essentially, right? Water introduces bacteria, or the potential for bacteria to grow inside of your mixtures, and we don't want that. Which is why in a fire cider, you really aren't going to have a lot of wet ingredients or raw ingredients, with the exception of an onion or garlic or the lemon, right? And these things already don't really allow much in the way of bacteria to grow on them. But if you suspend them in oil, right, that's where you can kind of get into the danger zone. So don't do store-bought minced garlic if you can avoid it, if you're making herbal medicines, okay? You already run the risk of botulism just putting it in your food, unless you're cooking it. So just keep that in mind. Same with the horseradish. This has nothing else in it except for citric acid and the horseradish root. So with horseradish, as I'm sure many of you have experienced this, if you've ever had wasabi from your local restaurants, a lot of those use horseradish in them, and then a little bit of green food coloring, so it's not true wasabi. But anyway, this helps clear your sinuses, as I'm sure you may have experienced, and it also has a warming component to it. Hi, Jessie, good to see you here. I'm just like going through the ingredients right now. So with the horseradish, increases your circulation, gives like a warming component to it, which is good. This is good. We want increased circulation, particularly in the cooler months, okay? All right, so we've gone over horseradish. What's next? Elderberries. Okay. When it comes to my dried herbs, I get mine from Mountain Rose Herbs. I can count on their quality. I can count on their sourcing, okay? They're pretty decent with shipping. I would recommend buying, if you're going to buy something from them, buy larger amounts and a lot at a time. It can take them a hot minute to get things to you sometimes. Elderberries, this time of year, if you want elderberries, do it now. Star West Botanicals also is another great resource for buying elderberries, but if you want elderberries, do it now. Everybody and their mother is making elderberry syrup right now because it's high in vitamin C, and it's a major ingredient in a lot of immune boosting herbal medicines. Great for cough syrups, like all sorts of things. So I bought a giant bag. Not gonna lie, it is a little expensive, but this will last you a very long time. So if you look at this, is a 1 pound bag. I paid a pretty penny for it, but I made several jars of fire cider last year and an oxymel, and I still have this much left, okay? This is great. And because they're dried, they reconstitute in whatever liquid you're putting them in, so you really don't have to use that much, not as much as what you're thinking, not as much as you would if they were fresh, okay? All right, so that's our elderberries. What's next? Thyme, okay. Thyme, okay. So when we're thinking of immune boosting herbs, I want you to think, would I cook with that? And if the answer is yes, that is probably what you want to put in your fire cider or in your foods when you are eating things. Or if you have like a really stuffed up nose, you can put those dried herbs, the ones that you would cook with, in a bowl of steaming water. And it's because of the volatile oils that are in these plants. So like thyme, oregano, lavender, sage, anything that is related to mint. And these are all in the mint family. And if you could believe it, all herbs in the mint family are medicinal. Every single one of them. And every single one of them has a volatile oil component to them. In order to capture those volatile oil components, when you put them inside of a liquid or anything like that, make it one of the last things that you put in your tea, in your herbal steam bath, in your fire cider, because the moment that it hits water, particularly warm water, it's going to start releasing those volatile oils, and we want to capture them. So the reason that it's last is we're going to put the lid on right at the end, and it doesn't matter if it's being released, it'll stay within the container. So that's really most important if you're making like a hot infusion versus something like this, which is room temperature, but just FYI. So thyme, go back. So this is used for respiratory support, and it has antimicrobial benefits, particularly in the respiratory tract. So when you drink something that has been steeped with this or sage or oregano or any of those herbs, rosemary that you might cook with, you are naturally going to exhale the volatile oils that are in these herbs, and it's going to help clear your lungs and your sinus cavities, okay? So thyme is amazing. And please use dried. I wouldn't recommend using fresh just because of the botulism and other bacteria component that I've already talked about, at least in this. You can use fresh. We could talk about that another time, but for tonight, this is what we'll do. All right, next is ginger root. So I also get this from Mountain Rose Herbs. And this also helps with circulation. It's great for the gut. It also just aids digestion in general. And so we definitely want to have this in our immune boosting fire cider. A lot of the illnesses that we contract, many of them we get in the respiratory tract, but when we shed them, like we shed them out through our eliminations, okay? And so everything that's kind of happening up here in terms of a virus is also going to be happening in your gut too. So if you aren't on a probiotic, I recommend being on a probiotic. The mother in the apple cider vinegar does add a probiotic to your fire cider, but the ginger is also good for that too, okay? And it can help relax an irritated gut. So I'll put it that way. All right, next one on my list is turmeric root. So you can use a fresh turmeric root if you could find one. I'm never lucky in finding it, but I can count on Mountain Rose Herbs, okay? So turmeric root is excellent. This is for anti-inflammatory support. A lot of people take turmeric root capsules for inflammation in terms of like joint inflammation. So I know that it can aid like with like arthritic joints, or if you have a lot of fluid buildup in certain areas of your body, this can help aid with like calming down that inflammation. And then you're increasing the circulation with ginger root, and that can help move some of that extra fluid buildup in your joints out of the body. So turmeric root, this will also, no matter what you put it in, give it kind of a rusty orange color, which I think is beautiful. It's really pretty. I also think it has a nice smell. Not everybody likes turmeric root. It can dye your teeth. So just keep that in mind. If you ever like put turmeric root in a tea, it may turn your teeth yellow. So anyway, all right, turmeric. Oh, cayenne pepper. Yes, you want to talk about something that will definitely stimulate some circulation and everything else is going to be red cayenne pepper. I go for organic for the same reasons that I described at the beginning, that you don't really have to worry about the pesticides, but cayenne pepper is great for stimulating your metabolism, improving your circulation, and it also just adds a little bit of that heat. It puts that fire in the fire cider. Some people really like fire in their fire cider, and most of these ingredients will do that. Okay, I think that is everything in terms of ingredients, okay? The other thing, when you're making your fire cider, make sure you have a clean ball jar, mason jar, or whatever you call it, canning jar. Mine, I only could find 24 fluid ounces in my grocery stores. You can obviously get larger ones. Make sure, even if you just bought these from the store, make sure you clean them and let them air dry completely, right? You don't want to have like water droplets left behind, because like I said at the beginning of the video, the more water and moisture from water that you have inside of your herbal medicines, the more likely that you're going to allow for bacterial growth. So keep that in mind. I don't have one here with me. You can buy different lids for your jars. You can use just the standard metal one, and I'll give you a pro tip about how to avoid rusting with vinegar. Or you can find like those plastic reusable jars that are like airtight lids. Those are great too. Mine's missing for whatever reason. So that's what we've got. Make sure you have labels for your jars, even if it's just like you tape a piece of paper that says what it is. when you canned it and when it's going to be ready. At least what it is and when you canned it, okay? The number of times that people put things in their cabinets that they've canned and they forgot what it was, how long ago it was, don't guess, no, okay? So make sure you have some labels. And then if you do have metal lids like this, get some parchment paper, and you could put a thin slip of this in between the lid and the threads, and it'll keep your lids from rusting. So that's a pro tip for you, okay? And last but not least, have a notebook of your herbal recipes and keep notes, like what exactly you put in them, when you did it, if you liked it, if it was yum yum, if it tasted like crap, etc. How it made you feel when you took it, that sort of thing. So I've got my herbal notebook that I keep these things in. All right, so I've given you all the information. Now we're actually going to do it together, okay? Let's do it together. I feel this is fun. All right, let me see if I can I tip this down? All right, I'm learning. There we go. We can kind of see. I'll get in here with you. All right. Okay, so I've got my jar. And I've got my little half onion, but I haven't chopped it yet because I was going to show you how I like to chop my onion for this. You know what's really cool about the ingredients that you're using in your fire cider is that even after you've strained the ingredients out of your fire cider, you can reuse you can call it slip, you can call it, I don't know, leftover herby goodness, like put it in a stir fry. And you will still get all of that same immune boosting stuff, and it tastes kind of great, okay? Because it's been like steeping in all this like acidic goodness. So you could definitely do that. Okay, here we go. I just like to do relatively large chunks. You don't need to like dice it. You're probably like, Ashley, you are not a chef. And you know what? You're correct. I'm not a chef. Not a chef at all. I'm just a person with a knife. All right, I'm just gonna separate my little dudes. I'm gonna put them in there. Look at that, look at these onion flakes. Aren't they cute? Hi, I see Lori is here, Jesse's here, Jen is here. So glad to see you guys. I'm glad that you were able to stop by. Have any of you made your fire cider yet, or are you looking for inspiration? I'm just kind of watching the comments to see what we've got going on here. I know a few of my friends have already made their fire cider for the season. I was really waiting to see some signs of fall before I was doing mine. And I think now is probably a good time, really. I mean, we've got tons of spiders out. We've got leaves that are already dropping here, which is, you know, kind of amazing to me. My eyes are watering already. I'm crying. Look, it's antimicrobial for my eyes. But yeah. All right. I'm almost done with the onion. Here we go. It takes me a hot minute. I like to separate all the little pieces. All right, next thing, I'm gonna do another big thing, and I'll wait to do the garlic cloves last. So I'll just kind of show you what I do with my lemon slices. And I'm only gonna use half of this lemon for this jar. I'm gonna save the other half for my other jar. Let's see, Jesse. Oh, you go to the Amish store and you grab a few ingredients. Nice. Okay, yeah, so you're basically ready to go. You just need to nab your ingredients to actually do it. And it doesn't matter if your seeds are in the lemons, like totally fine. Okay, I'm gonna do one more little bit here. And you can leave them whole slices, totally fine. You can leave the rind on, totally fine. As particularly if it's an organic lemon, it doesn't matter. Just kind of fit it in there. Okay, I've got my big items in there. Next, I'm just gonna throw my cloves in as they are, okay? I'm not worried about mincing them. You don't have to cut them. You don't have to do anything like that. All right, now it's time for my little things. I'm gonna use, and oh, by the way, for every person that is here tonight, if you would like, I've got a handout that I made for this tutorial that lists all the ingredients, what they do, you know, basically like why they're important, how to put your fire cider together, and when it's ready, okay? So if you were interested in that handout, just put a comment on this video. They'll be like, I want the handout, and I will message you that, okay? All right, next, I've got a 1/4 cup of dried elderberry. I love the smell of these. They have kind of like a raisin smell, which makes sense, but it's really nice. Like I bet this tastes great in chocolate. It gives me that vibe, you know? All right, so I'm gonna put that in there. I got my elderberries, and like I said, those will be reconstituted in the cider vinegar and they'll swell up a bit. All right, next I need to do a 1/4 cup of my horseradish. I was saving this for last because it is aromatic. All right, Jesse, yeah, I will be sure to send you that handout. And if I remember right, this little package that I've got here is like perfectly 1/2 cup. So I can fit the other half in my other jar. All right, there's my horseradish. Get in there. Okay, all right, next is all of my herby stuff. All right, I'm gonna do a tablespoon of thyme, okay? And I'm gonna do a tablespoon of ginger root. And a tablespoon of my turmeric root. And last but not least, I'm gonna do 1 teaspoon of the ground cayenne pepper. All right, and this is a 1/2 teaspoon, so. Okay. All right, and what's gonna happen last is I'm going to pour my apple cider vinegar on top. Then I'll just like place the lid on. Now you can put other ingredients in here, right? Like this really is just a basic recipe. There are certain things that people don't like if you don't like cayenne pepper, you don't have to put cayenne pepper in there. You do wanna have a little bit of heat from somewhere. So whether it's your like ginger, you could double up on ginger, you can add more of the other like roots or something like that. You wanna have a little bit of heat in there. You wanna increase that circulation just a little bit. All right, so that's parchment paper. Last year, I made one with echinacea in it, but this is what I learned. So, you know, we hear about like echinacea being amazing for immune support, and it is for short-term use. And fire cider is something that really you want to take every day, and you can for a long period of time, but you don't want to take echinacea every day for a long period of time because it can raise your blood pressure. So I learned that the hard way, and luckily nothing bad happened, but I was experiencing symptoms related to elevated blood pressure. And so when I realized what was going on, I made a new fire cider and I just, you know, nixed the echinacea, okay? So, but you can put other things in there, whatever kind of herbs, you know, float your boat. All right. I'm just gonna fill this up to the tippy top. I bought several jars of this. You know, like I said, it was a great deal, but also you don't want to top it off with water. So if you find that you don't have enough apple cider vinegar, you can use white vinegar, you know, if you have it, but it really is best if you use apple cider. Okay, put my little parchment paper. Whee. All right, I'm just gonna lay it like that, right on top. And it fits nicely. It does not create an air pocket in there at all. You can still screw the little thing on there. Just put it on there nice and tight. You don't have to worry about any sort of explosions. You shouldn't have to burp the can or anything like that. So after you've got it canned, like give it a few little swishes like this. And what this is called is mastication. And you're gonna wanna do this every day for 4 weeks. There are faster methods for making fire cider. I don't do them. I prefer the traditional route because giving this 4 weeks for the apple cider vinegar to extract the constituents out of these herbs is an amazing amount of time to really do all, like it extracts every bit that it possibly can. So it's a little bit of a pain at first to remember to shake this, but just put it somewhere that you'll remember. So if there's a place where you pull your coffee mug every day, you set this jar in that cabinet next to your favorite coffee mug so you remember to do it. The reason that we do that is not only is it mixing the herbs around, but if you have any of like these lightweight herbs that have gotten to the top, you don't want them sitting there outside of the apple cider vinegar for any period of time because there is still a little bit of air in there, right? Which means that bacteria can still grow. Now, the likelihood is low in a highly acidic environment such as this, but we want to decrease our chances. So just do it every day. It also helps pull out those constituents that I talked about out of the herbs and stuff. So keep this in a dark cabinet. Don't sit it in a window. So, you know, like I said, somewhere that you'll remember if you're a coffee drinker, a tea drinker, if you have a large enough medicine cabinet, if that's where you put your cereal, your snacks, your whatever. Just put it somewhere that you'll remember. Do it every day for 4 weeks. And if you have a label on there that tells you when you're done, then, you know, you'll remember to do it. Set an alarm on your phone. You can put a thingy on your calendar, whatever it might be. Look at that. It's already turning a really pretty color. The elderberries are turning that color. The turmeric is turning that color. It's like a pretty purple. When mine is ready, 4 weeks from now, I will have another tutorial that shows you how to strain your ingredients out into another bottle, because I have found some really cool tools that have helped me do that. In the beginning, I was using a cheesecloth and it is messy AF. So I found a better way, a much better way. So that concludes at least the making of the tutorial. I don't have my labels. I promise I'm going to do it though. So the last thing that I'm going to do for you is recommend 2 books that I think are particularly helpful for making herbal medicines in general, but also for fire cider. So the first, the most obvious, is Fire Cider by Rosemary Gladstar. So you can think of Rosemary Gladstar as being like the fairy godmother of herbalism. She is an incredible voice in the herbal community and really has kept things on track despite some arguments that have happened in the herbal community over the years. So it is thought that maybe she was the one that coined the term fire cider, even though it is thought that fire cider is a what do you call it, like a traditional remedy. It maybe went by a different name at one point, but that's what she calls it. So this one is great. It has like bukus of recipes in here, some that Rosemary has created herself, some that many of her herbal friends have added to the book. But this is incredible, and I'm a librarian and I hate this kind of shit, but look, I've dog-eared some of the pages. This is just for me, it's my reference, so I'm allowed to do it, right? I've dog-eared some of my favorite recipes, and I mean, it's anything to your heart's content in terms of flavor, in terms of what it can do. They have backstories for them. Incredible book, okay? And this is inexpensive. All of Rosemary Gladstar's books are affordable because I think she really cares about people learning herbal medicine. Okay, so that one's that one. She has a ton of other books too that are worth checking out. All right, this one, the authors are actually my teachers at my herbal school at the Commonwealth Holistic Herbalism. And so it's Katya Swift and Rin Madura. They are also now big voices in the herbal community. I think they've both been practicing herbalism since the late 90s. They are incredible. They do have some free courses too that you should totally check out. But what's great about this, it truly is an easy to understand and replicate book of some of the most well-known herbal medicines with like common ailments. So you're not going to find anything in here saying like, we're going to cure your cancer, or you can go without antibiotics, or none of that. Okay. So it's supplementing traditional medicine, y'all. This isn't in place of like conventional medicine. So this is great for like coughs and colds and headaches and, oh, I've got a little bit of menstrual issues, but it's not PCOS, that kind of thing. So this is amazing. This is where I got my idea for making oxymels, antitussive, meaning like it helps with coughing. They've got immune support stuff in here, things for fatigue, constipation, bites and stings. And they also have a section on how to make different types of herbal medicine. And there are several plants in here that they also go over too. So really great. And contraindictions too, some contraindictions. So if you are just dipping your toes in herbal medicine, or even if you aren't, but you're just looking for other ideas, great book. So are there any questions before I conclude the first Fire Cider making tutorial with Ash? And if not, I will be checking the comments. Happy to answer questions. Please feel free to reach out to me. I don't pretend to know it all. If I don't know something, I will direct you to the resource where you can find that information, okay? We are all students, and certainly all students of herbalism. There's no way to know everything. But I really appreciate you joining me tonight, and have a great night. Oh, I forgot to tell you dosage. You're like, you could do a shot glass of your Fire Cider every day, or if you can't handle that, a tablespoon is perfectly fine. If you are a person with GERD, or you have issues with reflux, this may agitate your reflux. So if you notice that, or if you get an irritated gut, just back off of it. You can do lesser amounts. And if you get sick, let's say you've been taking this every day, you're like, oh, I still got a virus. You can have a little bit more. Maybe like do some in the morning and do some in the evening, and it'll help with that. All right, that's it. And if you want the handout, let me know, and I'll be sure to message it to you. But otherwise, have a great and fantastic